Helmet Head demanded that Boris Johnson agrees to Indy Ref 2 quote-unquote before Christmas. The First Minister today set out more detail on her plan to hold a second quote-unquote independence referendum in the wake of the supposed chaos. MSPs are already considering legislation that would lay the groundwork for another quote-unquote historic vote, but Helmet Head needs permission from the UK government to make it legal. Speaking at Holyrood today, meaning the fourth, am I mistaken? Third. She said, "I can confirm today that during the passage of this bill we will seek agreement to the transfer of power that will put the referendum beyond legal challenge. We have a clear democratic mandate to offer the choice of independence within this term of Parliament, and we intend to do so." The clear democratic mandate that stated that if circumstantial changes came into effect, such as being dragged out of the European Union, quote unquote, against our will, then you would have legal jurisdiction to call upon said referendum. The same circumstantial changes that seem to be falling at the wayside, given the last few days, if they're anything to go by. The SNP have made no secret of their joy at the possibility of no deal being scuppered completely, with the potential bill on Monday being passed, which will basically grant the European Union complete and utter control over how long our extension lasts for. So in actuality, it's not really that different to the so-called backstop. Nonetheless, them doing everything that they have been doing for the past 3 years, and what they did this week, especially Fatboy Blackford himself, all they have done all week is completely and utterly fuck up the whole process, rendering Brexit near enough obsolete, and we all know that the real reason that they were doing just that is because they wish to stop Brexit. So again, I ask the question, what democratic mandate? Just because the people voted for you in the election, that does not grant you the right to have a referendum whenever the fuck you want. Nicola Sturgeon coerced people to vote for her, and to vote for Nicola Sturgeon coerced people to vote Remain in that 2016 referendum by telling her newly found surge in support that the premise for independence doesn't arise if they didn't vote Remain. And she's taken this overwhelming majority of voters, as she loves to claim, she's taken it and she's not shut the fuck up about it. But it's only now, or only was in recent months, when the concept of the prospect of no deal was looming, that she started to talk up independence again. She had no intention of having independence, because in order for her to be able to have a referendum for said independence, she actually needed Brexit to occur. Why didn't she vote for Theresa May's deal all those months ago? Why is the excuse continuously that they're looking out for the UK? They're full of fucking shit, and this is a belter what they're doing right now. Because they're not going to blame Boris Johnson when he refuses. That's exactly what's going to happen. And then they can put their hands up and say, well, hey, if I had my way, we'd be having a referendum. They've been saying it repeatedly, day after day, week after week, that the people have a right to choose, to decide their own future. Decide what future exactly? Because you have made it crystal clear in everything you've been doing, especially the last week, that you're intending to stop Brexit. So there's not really much of a difference in the future from before the Brexit referendum to the future that you intend to see us in. But Helmet Head can't bear the thought of being dragged out of that European Union because it's all about her and fuck all to do with the people she claims to stand up for. Boris Johnson claims there was no reason for Indy Ref 2 because there's not. Nothing has changed and there's no circumstantial changes. The SNP have made sure of that one. But it's fat little wanker.
I represent Scottish constituents. We voted to stay in by 62 to 38.
62% claim. I'm not going to repeat what I said earlier. But second of all, there's another demographic of people, despite the obvious one, that the SNP blatantly don't speak for. That is, of course, the people that voted to remain, but respect democracy. Between them and the people that voted to leave the European Union to begin with in Scotland, that these people just don't talk about. The SNP have decided to take it upon themselves to just assume everybody in Scotland is completely on board with their bullshit, completely on board with their anti-democratic standpoints, completely on board with the idea of fucking up Brexit for the whole of the UK. And for what? Because Scotland voted in me. Fucking embarrassment to this country. And if what? And if the events on Monday transpire to be what's looking like it will be, then my fucking God.
And you know, you talk about two referendums, Quasi.
Yeah.
In our referendum in 2014, we were told if we stayed in the United Kingdom, then our rights as EU citizens would be respected.
It's another trope that they love to throw about willy-nilly. For example, Helmet Head a few days ago
was if we voted for independence that we would end up thrown out of the European Union. Now, because we didn't vote for independence, we face being taken out of the European Union against our will.
Rewriting of history that people seem to be lapping up and presenting it as fact to the public to garner sympathy and support, which they inevitably get from the mainstream media, as well as maybe convincing some fed sitters or maybe people in Scotland that were too young to vote last time round don't really know what happens. You know, David Cameron said in 2014 that there was an up-and-coming referendum in regards to EU membership. So people in Scotland were all aware of that. There was also the threat of being vetoed from Spain, if I'm not mistaken. Could be France, can't remember. Also the big issue, which is still an issue to this day, and that is of course the currency. And then of course there is the white paper. The acknowledgement in said white paper that we would have been out of the EU if we had voted to leave the UK. In said white paper, though, it did mention that they would try to renegotiate the way back in. All that said, they're trying to insist that we voted to stay in the UK in 2014 because we wanted to remain part of the EU. We were promised we'd have our memberships protected. But then in the next breath, despite the fact the white paper said that we would have been out, they're quick to then jump down your throat and remind you that they had every intention of rejoining the EU. So it really makes sense. So given that both outcomes would have led to us remaining in the EU one way or the other according to them in 2014, kind of stands to reason that the so-called promise of having our memberships protected that they love to throw about, it's fucking bullshit.
Scotland becomes independent. There is no doubt in my mind that Europe would welcome us as an independent country.
And even if that was true, while that process was taking place, we would be out of the UK and the EU, so all that job loss that Beta Blackford and you have been spouting off about in regards to leaving without a deal when it comes to Brexit, wouldn't that same job loss come into effect anyway?